Right now, somewhere, someone is on hour 60 of being awake. They are still walking around, still talking, still, technically, fine. And their body has already started doing something to them that they cannot feel and cannot stop. You have been tired before. You know the heavy eyes, the slow thoughts, the second coffee that does nothing. But that is hour 20. What happens at hour 40? At hour 70? At hour 200? There is a point where staying awake stops being uncomfortable and starts being dangerous. Almost nobody can tell you where that line is, so let us walk past it, hour by hour, and find out what actually breaks first, because it is not the thing you are expecting. Start with how ordinary this is. Roughly 1 in 3 adults does not get the sleep they need. Not occasionally, habitually. It is the most common voluntary self-harm on the planet, and we treat it as a personality trait. We brag about it. 4 hours a night. Grinding. Built different. Here is the part nobody brags about. After 17 hours awake, your reaction time and your judgment are roughly what they would be after 2 drinks. You would not hand your car keys to someone who had just had 2 drinks. But you have driven home at midnight after beating up since 6, and you thought you were completely fine. That is the first strange thing about sleep loss. It removes the very thing that would tell you it is happening. A drunk person can usually feel that they are drunk. A sleep-deprived person feels, mostly, normal. Their performance falls off a cliff. Their confidence does not move at all. Push on to 24 hours awake, and the impairment is closer to being legally drunk. And still, the person inside it will tell you, honestly, that they are okay. In 1964, a 17-year-old in San Diego decided to find out how far this goes. His name was Randy Gardner, and he wanted a science fair project, so he simply stopped sleeping. 2 friends kept him awake in shifts. A sleep researcher from Stanford heard about it and came to watch, mostly to make sure the boy did not die. Day 2, his eyes stopped focusing properly. Day 3, he became moody and clumsy and could not manage simple tongue twisters. Day 4, he became convinced that he was a famous football player. He was hallucinating. He looked at a street sign and saw a person. Day 11, he was still awake, 264 hours, and he could still, on a good attempt, beat the researcher at pinball. That is the detail that makes this story so unsettling. From the outside, he looked like a tired teenager. Inside, something else entirely was happening. To understand what, you have to know what sleep is actually for. It is not rest. Your brain is not idle while you sleep. It is busy, and one of the jobs it is busy with is cleaning. While you are awake, your brain cells produce waste, the ordinary garbage of running the most expensive organ in your body. When you sleep, the space between those cells opens up, and fluid washes through, flushing the waste away. Skip the sleep, and you skip the wash. The garbage simply stays. That is the first system to fail, and you cannot feel any of it. The second failure is stranger. Your brain will not simply let you stay awake somewhere after the first full day. It begins taking sleep without asking you. These are called microsleeps. For anywhere between 1 and 30 seconds, parts of your brain switch off while you are standing, talking, or driving. Your eyes can stay open the whole time. You will not remember it happening. If you have ever arrived somewhere and could not recall the last few minutes of the journey, you have already met one. By day 3, a person is having these constantly. They are, in a real sense, asleep in flickers, all day long. The thing they still think of as being awake has become a broken, patchy signal, and every hour, it gets worse. Then the mind starts to go. Severe sleep deprivation produces something that looks a great deal like psychosis, and it arrives on a schedule. First, the world gets slightly wrong. Colors seem too bright, surfaces seem to move, then come the shapes at the edge of vision, the sense of somebody standing just behind you. Then, for many people, full hallucinations and beliefs that will not survive daylight. Paranoia is common, so is a flat, strange emotional numbness, broken by sudden crying or laughing at nothing. The person is still walking and talking. They are simply no longer reliably in the same world as you are. And there is a rare disease that shows where this road ends. It is called fatal familial insomnia. It is genetic. It is untreatable. It begins in middle age with the inability to sleep, not tiredness. Inability. Sleeping pills do nothing at all. The patient stays awake month after month and deteriorates and dies, usually within a year or 2. It is one of the very few illnesses whose central symptom is simply not sleeping. So the obvious conclusion is that the brain, starved of sleep, eventually gives out and kills you. Which brings us to the experiment that showed that this is not quite right. In the 1980s, researchers kept rats awake continuously. The rats died reliably in about 2 to 3 weeks. But when the scientists examined them, the brain was not the problem. What failed was the body. The rats could no longer regulate their own temperature. Their metabolism ran wild. They ate enormous amounts and lost weight anyway. Their immune defenses collapsed, and bacteria their bodies would normally handle without effort moved into the bloodstream. They did not die of a broken mind. They died of a body that had forgotten how to keep itself alive. And that is the answer to where the line is. Sleep is not something your brain does for your brain. It is maintenance for the entire machine. Your temperature, your immune system, your hormones, your repair.